Welcome to another episode of the THWIP. Today's episode is going to be about what I think should appear in Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 video game, coming to PS5 in the fall of 2023. Spider-Man 1 is my favorite video game of all time, so I'm super excited to see what they do with Spider-Man 2. I know it's going to be amazing either way because Insomniac knows how to handle the character and that universe very well. So yeah, I have great faith in them. We're definitely going to be in for a treat, and I can't wait for the fall to finally get my hands on it. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to say all my thoughts based on this video are based on Spider-Man 1, like the effects of that, and my love for the character, what I'd love to see. So I'm going to split this into 4 parts. So part 1, I'm going to have the characters. Part 2, I have suits. Part 3, gameplay features. And part 4, story elements. So starting off with part 1, the characters. As of now, we know, of course, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and Miles Morales, Spider-Man, are confirmed to be in it, as well as Kraven the Hunter and Venom, which I think is awesome. I can't wait to see what they do with those characters. I've, again, great faith in Insomniac. I know they're going to deliver powerful performances, much like how Dr. Octopus was presented in the first game. I think that was an incredible performance. I can't wait to see his character return, if that's possible. And yeah, getting to see Kraven in a different kind of medium would be really cool. And this is all based on speculation from fans, and I'm pretty sure this was confirmed, not by Insomniac, but by insiders, that the voice in the Spider-Man 2 teaser was Kraven. And then, of course, at the end, we have the reveal of Venom being in the game, which is always cool. I love Venom's character, and getting to see him interact with Spider-Man is going to be really interesting. If they go that route, I don't know if they're going to do something similar to the movies where Venom has never met Spider-Man before and he's just there. But I'm hoping they have the whole symbiote story with Spider-Man. So those are the 4 characters that are confirmed as of now to be in the game. One character I'd like to see come into the game is Mysterio. Specifically some illusion gameplay. Mysterio has the power to create illusions and mess with Spider-Man's mind. He's one of the most interesting villains and powerful in a way to mess with him. When I say illusion gameplay, I mean something similar to what Scorpion did in Spider-Man 1, where there was that level where he stabs you and you're infected, and then you have to make a cure within this illusion filled world where Scorpion is terrorizing you. So I think something like that, but with Mysterio, would be really cool to see. Doesn't have to be played out exactly like how the Scorpion level was played out, but having something like that would be really interesting. Doing this could also reveal things to Peter that he may not know yet, if they want to go down that route, in a storytelling perspective where these illusions reveal secrets that he doesn't know. Something like Harry Osborn is Venom. What if that's a way that they reveal that to Peter? My best friend, who I thought was on vacation, is actually still here, and he's this villain that is trying to kill me. So that's a thing that I thought of. Also, that Norman Osborn is planning something. Potentially there's a tease for Oscorp's developing something that isn't good, which is most of what they do, but specifically something related to Norman himself, and maybe something about Aunt May and Uncle Ben, trying to mess with him, maybe make him have to go through their deaths again in order to break him. It would be a dark take, but I think in this second story, it needs to have some kind of dark tone and Outcome. And then I'm assuming they're making a third, like why wouldn't they? It kind of has the whole emerging back into the light story. So getting out of the darkness at the end of the second game, leading into the third game, I think would be a good approach for that. And Mysterio adding to that darker tone of this game, I think would be cool. So Mysterio is a character I'd like to see introduced. Another one I'd like to see is Lizard. We know that Kurt Connors does exist in that universe. He was in a post-credit scene of Spider-Man Miles Morales, and he's working with Norman in that scene. So we know he exists. Something I'd like to see is like it's iconic between Spider-Man and Lizard that they have a fight underwater, and I'd like to see something like that in this game where if we get the Lizard, let's say like there's kind of like a side mission in a way, kind of like how Shocker was in a way a side mission in Spider-Man 1, or even Taskmaster, but tracking down Lizard in the sewers, getting to have these encounters with him, and then you are attacked by him in the sewer, and then there's a underwater fight, and you can swim around, fight underwater, and yeah, something like that I think would be cool. It adds a different level of gameplay to the series, and maybe something they want to incorporate later with maybe Hydro Man, I don't know. But yeah, getting to see an iconic underwater fight between Lizard and Spider-Man would be cool. And going back to Kurt Connors and how he may become the Lizard, maybe he's developing the Lizard serum in Oscorp, and Norman knows of the effects, that it won't be good. Connors being naive to realize that he just wants to get his arm back. He wants to advance the biological testing. So Norman could maybe push him into taking the serum, assures him it will be okay, his arm will be back, it will be a game changer in the science world. So maybe he pushes him to take it, and that's what eventually leads to him becoming the Lizard. And it would also push Norman's more evil side and tease that he has bigger intentions at play. So yeah, Lizard would be really cool to add to Spider-Man 2. And a final character I'd like to see maybe is Beetle, who is an assassin. This could introduce more aerial fights, similar to the Vulture fights in Spider-Man 1. I will mention an interesting feature later that may make the gameplay more fun. I've always wanted this, especially in Spider-Man 1. I think it would have been cool, but a feature for this game would be cool. I'll mention later. Beetle would also be a nice side villain to include, similar to how they might do Lizard if he is in this. Being a role kind of like how Shocker was in Spider-Man 1. He's just getting in the way of the main mission. And maybe Beetle's employed by Norman to hunt Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's always causing problems for Norman's experiments and other, I guess, evil intentions. So Beetle, I think, would be an interesting character to add. It would kind of elevate the aerial fight gameplay. And yeah, so those are the characters that I would like to see in Spider-Man 2. Now moving on to the suits. And yes, I do recognize some of these may have become mods for Spider-Man 1, but officially making them a part of this game would be even better, because each suit in the first one has its own ability that comes with it. So if you mod it, then you don't really get a special ability with that suit. So if you take some of those modded suits and actually officially add them to this game with an ability, I think that would be really cool. So I broke it down between Miles and Peter. So for Peter, I had the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit, which everyone wants. It's one of the most popular mods for the game. The Captain Universe suit, Superior Spider-Man suit, the Todd McFarlane suit, Ultimate Spider-Man suit, and of course, Spider-Ham. Yes, Spider-Ham needs to be in this game. There's no exceptions. He needs to be in it. For Miles, I have the Cosmic Miles suit, the Across the Spider-Verse suit, the Stan Lee shop suit, and by that I mean the one that he buys at the store in Into the Spider-Verse, the 616 suit, the Into the Spider-Verse hoodie overlay suit, where he has his like normal clothing over his Spider-Man suit, I think would be really cool. And of course, Miles Morhames, who is also an animal version of the character. So yeah, those are some suits I like, especially Spider-Ham and Miles Morhames. We need those. Part 3, gameplay features. So this is the feature I thought would be really cool to add for the Beetle fights, the webbed armpit gliding feature. So, but I mean, in the comics, Spider-Man has these webs in the armpit area of his suit, and he uses them to glide in the air. So adding this to the game would allow for better traversal. It would be a key feature to use in that Beetle fight, and maybe it can be upgraded, like max time to glide, max and minimum altitude. I don't know, but those might be kind of restrictive in trying to use the gliding technique, but I think adding that would be really cool. It would kind of make it in a way faster to get to certain destinations in New York. So yeah, that's a feature I'd really like to see. It's an iconic part of his original outfit. So yeah, I'd like to see that. And other gameplay feature I'd like to see is a symbiote suit ability, and it can only be used with the symbiote suit, and these would be similar to Miles's Venom abilities from Spider-Man Miles Morales. So again, these are only with the symbiote suit. If the symbiote does bond with Peter, which it should, then of course he's going to get a symbiote suit. So this is what I have come up with in case that does happen. So one ability I think would be really cool is an arm extended punch. So the symbiote can, like, of course, manipulate its shape and size. So maybe there's an ability where his arm just extends and kind of grows and becomes like a giant fist in a way. Not like Miss Marvel giant, but like enough that it will knock enough enemies away. And it can be used to destroy barriers, to find hidden areas, even like how in Miles Morales you have to destroy these boards to find the underground caches. So maybe something like that could be added as an ability. Another one I came up with is the Tendril Swarm. Tendrils are also an iconic part of the symbiote in any form. So maybe this ability can be activated and scatter enemies close by and throw them away. Like the tendrils can reach out, grab them and throw them, kind of like the concussive blast from the first game. And another one I had is Symbiote Blossom. This could be similar to the Web Blossom in the first one, or Miles's like Venom Blast, where he just explodes and all the enemies are instantly defeated. So the Symbiote Blossom could be like a blast in all directions, and it pins the enemies to nearby walls or surfaces, then it pulls them all in to instantly defeat them with an explosion. I think that would be really cool. It would be something unique because it's the symbiote suit. So yeah, those are 3 abilities that I believe should be like unique to the symbiote suit, much like Miles's Venom abilities. So next I have variety of crimes to stop. So what we've had so far is fun. I always love just randomly finding out there's a crime happening and go stop it. It's fun. But it does get repetitive at times, I find. So maybe they could add things like, we've kind of had this before, but like a rival gang fight, and you have to take out 2 sides of like a gang war kind of happening in a street. And I know we've had that before, but maybe more of it would be better. And maybe something like a bank heist. Like it could be done in the form of like a mini base. You know, like when you go into, whether it's the Fisk bases or the Demon base, any of those, to take out enemies. In this case, you could enter a bank and defeat the enemies. I feel like that gives more variety and like uniqueness of those crimes, where they're not all outside. Like you can go inside places to actually stop these crimes. And maybe something else like a timed bomb defusal, where you find out there's bombs either surrounding you, or maybe it's like on a complete other side of the city and you have to get there in time to defuse a bomb. I think that would be really interesting to add to the crime. So those are a few options, but again, they have been fun. They do get repetitive, but I just like to see more variety as we're pushing the franchise. So those are some opinions I have on that. So another option I'd like to see is co-op. Because we know this is both a Peter and Miles game, it's kind of obvious that they should add this, but maybe not for the entire game, because for most co-op games you have a screen crop and it would distract from the amazing visuals that are in these games, because visuals are such a huge part of the game, or any game in general. So maybe doing it kind of like GTA, where you have character selection and you choose, let's say, Peter, and it brings you all the way across the city to where he is, or you switch to Miles and then it goes all the way to where he is and what he's doing, and then you kind of switch that way. But it would be interesting to see if we could somehow have parts where two players could be playing at once. One is Peter, one is Miles. I don't know if they should do a screen crop, because again, the visuals in these games are really well done. They're really detailed, and it really does make you feel like you're in New York. So I think adding that would distract from that aspect, but either way, it's still going to be well done. But again, this is an option that should be added because there are two main characters, and it's a great opportunity to introduce some co-op to this franchise. For the last part, which is story elements, just a few points here. So one of them I have is a Peter versus symbiote conflict. This is something I haven't even thought of being put into the game until I saw Evan, and forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, Phil Arca's tweet from the Spidey Squad. If you're not following him, you should. He's always updating the Spider-Man fan base. Shout out to Evan Filarca. Again, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But he said that it would be a highlight of the game if it was included. And after seeing that, I was like, well, I hadn't thought of that at all. So after seeing that, I had all these ideas, like this would push Peter's character arc, because again, this could be a darker toned game. So having Peter go through that internal battle with the symbiote will be very emotional and intense, and he'll come out of it a changed person. Whether we see, like in the Spectacular Spider-Man show, there's the iconic episode where it's all Peter inside his head trying to get rid of the symbiote, trying to unbond it from himself, and he's going through all these memories and has Uncle Ben assisting him the entire way. If we got something like that in this, that would be incredible. I know Insomniac can pull it off with the emotional level and the intenseness. Even something like Aunt May guiding him through that would be really cool. So seeing that would definitely be a highlight for me. I know it would be for Evan Filarca and the Spidey Squad community, but this has to be in this game. This is something that will always be an essential part to a Spider-Man symbiote story, so they have to add this. And while Peter's going through this conflict, maybe it could potentially have Miles be a more playable character. He's going to be the guiding light for Peter. At some point, Peter's going to become too rageful and possessed by the symbiote, so Miles is going to have to be that lighter-hearted character to be the voice of reason. He has to get Peter out of it to save him. And I think that's going to be a great way to kind of enforce Miles's story too. Yeah, and once Peter is free of the symbiote, then he would be playable again. Again, this is something they probably won't be doing, but in my opinion, I think it would be a cool option to add. So Peter's symbiote conflict, it's a must in this game, absolutely needs to be added. So that's one. Another story element I had is further exploring Peter and Miles's mentor/mentee relationship. We know Peter has been training Miles at the beginning of Spider-Man Miles Morales, and he teams up with him again at the end of that game. So having them work together, have Peter further, I guess, training Miles and showing him new skills. Have Miles proving he's great at being Spider-Man. It shows Peter that he's done his job, like the city is in safe hands, and they both need each other to get through their loss. Spoiler alert, if you haven't played Spider-Man 1, Aunt May does die in it. If you didn't know that, then I don't even know why you're listening or watching this. And then of course we know Miles has lost his father as well as his best friend, not Genki, but Finn and Spider-Man Miles Morales. So having them be together and help each other through that loss is, I think, would be a great concept to add to the story. It lifts them up, it brings them closer together, and it makes them a better team. So that's something I think would be an important part to the story, is having them help each other out and show each other that they have each other's backs for life. So having that Peter and Miles mentor-mentee relationship exploration is a key thing that I would like to see in this game too. So moving on. Last thing I'd like to see are some really big surprises. They're probably going to do this anyway. What if they do something like maybe Norman is in the process of becoming the Green Goblin, and this could tease the next game, like he's the big bad for the next game. If they do something like that, I'd absolutely lose my mind, because Green Goblin is arguably Spider-Man's arch nemesis, so he's also one of the greatest villains in any superhero's rogues gallery, so having him come to this universe I think would be really cool, and it's a fitting end to this trilogy if they do that. So that's one surprise that maybe potentially they do. Another one I thought of would be, what if Otto Octavius breaks out of prison and tries to reunite the Sinister Six? And then for the third Spider-Man game, you could have a potential group boss fight where you actually get to fight all the villains at the same time, and that's like the climax of that game, or just any point in the game, because doing that would be really cool. So yeah, I'd like to see that, and maybe some cameos from new characters that tease an upcoming solo game, or just that they exist in that universe and there's a possibility of them showing up again. So I came up with 3, one of which is Matt Murdock. We do see a Nelson and Murdock sign in Spider-Man 1, so we do know he exists in that universe, and this could easily set up a Daredevil solo game, which would be really cool because Daredevil is one of my favorite characters. And I'd really like to see what a Daredevil game would be like. I think having those combat aspects like the Batman Arkham games, and even this, would be really interesting for that character, and traversal wise too. So maybe Matt Murdock gets teased, maybe Wolverine, because we know Insomniac is working on a solo game for him, so maybe just a little peek at him, or just a further like Easter egg to see that again he is in this universe, but Spider-Man and him haven't interacted yet. Or they could say that they have. That would be cool too. And then Luke Cage, because Miles is from Harlem, Luke Cage is from Harlem, so maybe they have a connection if he does exist there. I think that would be a cool cameo, just Luke Cage, because he's another great Marvel character. So there's a high chance these won't happen, but it would be really cool to see these characters appear, or at least be mentioned. So yeah, that's all I have for my wishes for Spider-Man 2. It's coming out fall 2023. It's going to be amazing. Either way, they have a great team behind those games, so I'm very excited to see what they pull off. Again, all of these may not be what everyone wants, but to me this would make this probably the best Spider-Man game, and probably my favorite video game ever. It would probably top the first one, so I'm hoping at least some of this gets to be added, especially the Spider-Man symbiote conflict story. So we need to see that. And yeah, I can't wait to see Venom appear. Can't wait to see Miles and Peter again. And yeah, fall 2023. And that would be today's episode. So if you haven't listened or watched my other episodes, they are up on my YouTube channel, THWIP Media. They are also up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts on THWIP Media. You can follow me on Twitter at @THWIP_media. I always retweet recent news and will share updates on upcoming content and let you guys know when things are released. Again, like I mentioned in my last episode, I do have some pretty cool ideas for guests that I may want to have on this show, so stay tuned about that. And yeah, so thanks for listening, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for updates and news, and see you guys next time.